They say the horizon is the end of the world. But for some, it's just the beginning. Slow shot. The Blue HorizonLine rises through morning mist, sunlight gliding across its glass walls. Where the ocean breathes in silence, and the sky reflects dreams untold. One vessel sails beyond time itself. Camera sweeps over the lounge, marble table, coffee steam, sunlight shimmering on water. Inside these walls, every ripple tells a story. Every light, every reflection, holds a memory. Music builds, gentle piano with deep bass rumble. The camera follows a hand brushing across a glass wall as waves shimmer outside. This is more than a houseboat. It's a sanctuary built from motion, powered by silence, and guided by the endless blue. The horizon glows, night sky merges into daylight. Dolphins leap in slow motion. Blue HorizonLine 2026. Where dreams keep floating, and the journey never ends. Music swells. Logo appears slowly on screen. Blue HorizonLine 2026, in glowing silver blue text. Sound fades into soft ocean waves. The ocean stretched endlessly under a soft morning glow. A layer of mist drifted just above the waves, and from that silver haze emerged the Blue HorizonLine, a masterpiece of modern engineering and silent beauty. Its surface gleamed like glass, a moving dream across the endless blue. Inside, quiet music played through invisible speakers, not loud, just enough to blend with the whisper of the water brushing against the hull. Aris sat alone in the main lounge. The walls were all glass, curved gently outward so the world seemed to wrap around him. Every reflection shimmered in motion. The floor was smooth marble that captured the light of the ocean and scattered it in faint patterns. A single marble table rested at the center, glowing faintly as sunlight filtered through tinted glass panels above. He held a cup in both hands, steam rising gently, the smell of sea salt mixing with the faint aroma of roasted beans. He looked out toward the horizon where sky and water met in perfect silence. He breathed in slowly. Each breath felt heavier than the one before. The houseboat glided forward at a steady pace, guided by silent magnetic turbines below. Every few minutes, the sound of soft digital beeps echoed from the holographic screen floating over the table, displaying coordinates, temperature, and the ship's next stop. He reached forward, swiped the map away, and the air returned to stillness. The morning light deepened into amber as the sun climbed higher. The mist cleared, revealing vast waves of deep blue stretching toward infinity. He stood, walked to the edge of the lounge, and pressed his hand against the cool glass. The ocean seemed alive beneath his touch. For a moment, he closed his eyes and whispered, "Still here." It wasn't clear if he meant himself or someone else. Hours passed. The ship continued forward, guided by the calm rhythm of its own heartbeat. The light inside shifted from blue to gold as evening approached. In the upper deck dining room, the atmosphere was warmer, softer. Wooden tables polished to a mirror finish caught every hint of sunset. Candles in crystal holders flickered faintly as the lights dimmed automatically. Aris stood by the table, adjusting the position of a wine glass, then stepped back to look. The table was set for two. 2 plates, 2 forks, 2 glasses. On the plate opposite his seat rested a single folded napkin with a small white seashell placed delicately on top. He took a slow breath, pulled out his chair, and sat down. He poured red wine into both glasses. The liquid glowed under the low light like melted fire. The waves outside caught the last of the sunlight and turned it into dancing gold. For a while, he didn't speak. Then, as if answering some invisible question, he smiled faintly. "You'd still complain about the wine," he said quietly, almost amused. "Too dry, too strong, too perfect." The candlelight flickered against his face as he raised the glass to the empty chair. Silence lingered, heavy but not painful, a kind of acceptance wrapped in memory. He sipped slowly, then looked toward the horizon again. Outside, the sea began to turn darker, violet blending into indigo. The day was leaving gently. Later, when the stars began to pierce through the veil of night, Aris made his way to the control room. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, everything glowed in deep shades of blue and silver. The walls were alive with data, maps, star charts, wave patterns all rotating in holographic projection. The room hummed quietly with the sound of technology breathing. He walked to the main console and placed his hand on the control desk. It scanned automatically and a calm female voice echoed through the room. "Course steady. Destination: Eastern Ridge. Estimated arrival: 48 hours." He leaned forward, studying the faint blue line that traced across the ocean on the screen. "No diversions," he whispered. "No errors this time." He turned to a small photograph propped against the metal edge of the console. A woman smiled back from the image, sunlight in her hair, waves crashing behind her. Her eyes seemed alive, even in stillness. Aris traced a finger gently along the edge of the photo. "You'd like the upgrades," he said softly. "She runs smoother now." Suddenly the lights flickered. A sharp beep echoed through the speakers. The radar picked up a magnetic interference ahead, a storm field. Outside the control room window, lightning danced across the horizon, illuminating the distant waves. The boat trembled slightly but kept moving. Aris steadied himself against the console, eyes locked on the storm ahead. "We'll make it through," he murmured. Like always, the sky exploded with light for a few seconds, white, blue, gold, then faded into calm darkness again. The Blue HorizonLine sliced through the restless water, glowing faintly like a ghost against the night sea. When the storm passed, the world grew silent once more. The only sound was the rhythmic beating of the engines and the whisper of water. Aris returned to his cabin, exhaustion heavy on his shoulders. The door closed behind him, sealing out the world. The bedroom was a masterpiece of quiet luxury, circular bed facing a panoramic window that framed the moon perfectly. The sheets shimmered faintly under soft blue lighting. A glass side table stood beside the bed, holding a seashell that glowed softly from within. He sat down, removed his jacket, and stared out at the moonlight dancing on the waves. On the digital photo frame next to him, images cycled slowly, two people laughing, holding hands, dancing barefoot on the deck. Their movements caught in motion, forever alive inside the tiny screen. He reached out and touched it, stopping the slideshow. The image froze on a moment where she was turning toward him, smiling mid-laugh. "Still sailing," he whispered again, and lay back. The stars above the boat reflected on the curved glass roof, making it look as if the sea had swallowed the sky and the two had become one. His breathing slowed. The rhythm of waves matched the beating of his heart. Sleep came like a tide, gentle, unstoppable. Morning returned quietly, almost shyly. The first rays of sunlight entered through the curved glass ceiling of the observation lounge. The air felt warm, golden, new. A faint smell of fresh coffee filled the space. Aris sat at a round wooden table near the center of the room, steam curling above a white mug. Across from him sat another cup, untouched, warm, waiting. He didn't look at it. He just stared beyond the glass walls where dolphins leapt joyfully through the glowing water. The ocean was calm again, forgiving, endless. Books and maps were spread across the table, constellations, trade routes, notes scribbled in faded ink. Beside them lay a telescope aimed toward the open sky. He leaned back, hands wrapped around his cup, feeling the sun brush across his face. For the first time in days, he smiled without sadness. Maybe the horizon didn't mean goodbye anymore. Maybe it was just another beginning. He stood slowly and walked to the edge of the glass wall. Outside, the sea was perfectly still. In the distance, faint shapes of floating islands shimmered under the morning light. The air hummed with the sound of new life, birds, waves, wind. He pressed his hand against the window again, the same way he had that first morning. This time, the gesture felt lighter. A small voice from the control system echoed softly behind him. "Good morning, Aris. Weather conditions. Clear skies, calm waters. Would you like to resume music?" He turned his head, smiled faintly, and said, "Yes. Play something old." The speakers responded with a low hum, and then a soft melody began to fill the air, the same song that had played years ago when the journey first began. The chords drifted across the room, blending perfectly with the sound of the sea. He walked back to the table, picked up the second cup of coffee, and carried it toward the window. Steam curled in the light, twisting like memory. He raised it slightly, as if in a silent toast, and whispered, "To the horizon." The camera would have pulled back then if this were a film, rising slowly through the glass roof, past the top deck, into the open air where the Blue HorizonLine sailed forward across the shimmering water. The ocean stretched without end, glowing under the morning sun. Behind it, the trail of waves caught the light and turned it into silver ribbons that faded gently into the distance. Above, the sky burned bright blue, the same color as her eyes in the photo, the same shade as the first day they met. Everything felt connected again. Past, present, sea, sky. The horizon wasn't an edge anymore. It was an invitation. Inside the ship, the music continued. The wind moved through the decks like breath, touching every surface softly. The table in the lounge gleamed in the light, the seashell lamp glowed quietly in the bedroom. Everything seemed alive, everything moving together towards something unseen. And as the hours passed, the Blue HorizonLine drifted farther into the unknown, calm, steady, free. The ocean reflected its shadow like a dream sailing across the surface of the world. No destination, no ending, just motion, just meaning. Because some journeys aren't meant to reach land. They are meant to keep going, chasing the line where the sky meets the sea, forever blue, forever alive.